Kevin De Bruyne's world, and we only happen to believe in it. It was such a beautiful sight to behold, where Kevin De Bruyne was the chief orchestrator of Manchester City's 8-0 rout over Watford. It was beautiful, except you're a Watford fan. Welcome to the Nutmeg on Guardian TV. My name is Solomon Fowe, and Dennis returns to us in the studios. He has been gushing about Kevin De Bruyne's performance over the weekend, and it was such a clinical, precise, and a ruthless performance by Manchester City over the weekend, don't you think?
Certainly, ruthless performance or a rout, probably, but I call it a decimation of Watford. And then, you know, what we got was just a perfect response to what you give to your fans after losing 3-2 to Norwich City. So, and then Manchester City got their hearts together in the Champions League with a 3-0 victory over Shakhtar, and then, you know, 8-0 over Watford. What can you expect the more if you're in Pep Guardiola's shoes, just for the team to continue to progress and perhaps watch Liverpool slip along the way and you go back to your rightful position, that is the top of the league?
Exactly my thoughts, because I thought it was a perfect response. It was a perfect word to put out that, oh, we're not people that you can just come up and defeat in such fashion, you know, like what happened against Norwich City. So it was interesting the way it was. But let's just talk about De Bruyne for a bit before we move on to other things. How impressive was De Bruyne over the weekend? Very impressive,
very impressive. And then you look at the way Manchester City have played in the last 3 seasons. You want to say that Kevin De Bruyne is actually very pivotal to whatever Pep Guardiola has been doing with the team. You take, for instance, in the second season when Guardiola won the first league with Manchester City, you see that even as at that season, although Eden Hazard won the PFA Player of the Year that year, but there were a whole lot of shouts that that award was actually meant for Kevin De Bruyne. And although it is gone, but I still feel that he did very well to have deserved the award. And so you also want to cut him some slacks of last season, which a large part of the season he was injured and only had to join the team towards the tail end of the season. But coming into this new season, he's been all gone blazing, and then he's been providing all the assists this season so far. I think about 5 assists to his name.
More than 5, actually.
Yeah, more than 5 assists already. So, and if he continues like this, and you know, Pep Guardiola also hopes injury does not set in more than the injury woes that the team has already, I think Kevin De Bruyne will be very important to whatever Manchester City will achieve this season.
Well, what's that quality of Kevin De Bruyne that you're most that swans you over? Is it his vision? Is it his passing? For me, it's the fact that he can hit the ball. He can almost tell the ball where to go, particularly the precision in his passing, especially when it comes to that low hard cross from one end of the pitch to the other end. Another. It's a beauty to behold.
Yeah, and then that part of precision you mentioned, that's what actually came to my mind when I thought of Manchester City's first goal in the weekend. That's the goal scored by David Silva. You know, Kevin De Bruyne from the right part of the pitch, you know, flinging the ball all to the left, you know, right in front of the Watford.
I think he needs to trademark that pass particularly. Now, moving away from probably the best play over the weekend to the best game of the weekend, that's Chelsea against Liverpool. It ended 2-1. That's Liverpool having the victory over Chelsea. And it was an interesting game to watch in the sense that you felt that Chelsea could have taken more out of that game than leaving with a loss. Although they leave with their heads held up high, but they could have gotten more, don't you think? If not for VAR, I think.
Yeah, so if you want to talk about VAR, I think that would be a whole day or a week-long conversation, because going into the weekend, VAR had a whole lot of controversies, you know, surrounding its decisions, and also how English referees have
chosen to deploy
and maybe also perfected the art of, you know, misinterpreting or interpreting VAR decisions correctly. You know, case in point is the Tottenham's loss over the weekend
against Leicester City.
Yeah, against Leicester City. There were a whole lot of drama in that game. One for Tottenham, the other for Leicester City. And then you go into the game between Chelsea and Liverpool. You know, at first, after Salah got the opening goal, you know, we saw a Chelsea that was willing to fight back, a Chelsea that was
actually was Trent Arnold that got the opening goal.
Oh, sorry, Trent Alexander-Arnold. And, you know, afterwards, we saw a Chelsea that tried coming back into the game, and then they actually got a goal, you know, though by a scrabble.
Yeah,
and that got it by
Aspilicueta.
Aspilicueta, and then it got chopped off by Vieira. So my grounds in that part was that, you know, Mason Mount was adjudged to be offside, right? And then I wondered why the ball had about like 5 touches more until it led to the goal before VR had to say that, oh, there was an offside there. For me, it shouldn't have been so. If it had been offside, maybe 2 more touches on the ball, it could be forgivable. But 5 more touches and then there is a goal and then you cancel it, I think it is unforgiving. And then I also think that English referees have to do more, probably the English FA, you know, to teach the referees on correct interpretations or applications of VAR decisions.
The thing is, just moving away from the referees and VR, because it's going through its own, I'll say, process of perfection.
Yeah.
You know, they themselves will tell you it's not in its perfected stage yet. They're just humbling towards what will be the perfect.
But then there is also another school of argument that if you're bringing VAR into the game, it is actually a move for you to perfect, you know, decision making during our football games. You know, so maybe all of these controversies that are coming up are just phenomenon to the human, to a human, you know, that perfection is actually only exists.
All right, just going into what happened on field, we saw an impressive Frank Lampard side, especially after they went behind. They rallied back, got 1 goal, it was 2-1, and towards the closing stages of the game, you could see Liverpool were probably lucky to live with a victory in that one. And would you say this side is growing into maturity, especially seeing that some of its key parts, looking at N'Golo Kante, is beginning to return into that side?
Yeah, I think the team is growing into, you know, growing into shape, or probably going into what Frank Lampard would have envisaged to have seen or had in his opening season as a professional manager. Because I take you back to the match against Manchester United in the opening day. You know, they lost 4-0, but a whole lot of people that watched that game will tell you that the scoreline was not a perfect reflection
of what happened
in the game, because Chelsea played, they held their own. And then after then, they also played in the UEFA Super Cup against Liverpool, which many are judged to be the best performance they've put up this season so far. And then, you know, progressively, we've seen that this team are really coming into their own already. Yeah. And then still, they have some players that are injured. You know, you talk about the likes of Carlos, you know, Doi, we talk about Loftus-Cheek. And then N'Golo Kante that you mentioned, don't forget that he was passed fit for the match in about a few hours towards the match. And then also the latest addition to the team, Willian, was also injured. So I think by the time a whole lot of these players that are out of the team right now come together, and then, you know, the perfect blend will come up, and then I think that this team actually have a point to prove, and I think they're gearing up already.
Now, moving over to Arsenal, it was quite a surprise comeback victory for Arsenal. Frankly, I never expected them to get back into this game, into that game, because it was 2-1. We saw defensive frailties once again until Callum Chambers made it 2-2, and Aubameyang from that spot, the free kick spot, getting it to 3-2. Do you think it really fits into the idea that Emery's side are getting to improve steadily?
It's quite dicey, because this moment you praise this Arsenal side, another moment they disappoint you, and that has been the story of Emery's Arsenal ever since he took over from Arsene Wenger. And a lot of people will still put up the argument that this Arsenal team are actually not so far different from what we used to see during the days of Arsene Wenger. Do not forget that even during his days, that's talking about Arsene Wenger, we've got victories like this that you go ahead to applaud the team that, oh, if this team could put up this sort of performance, we want to give the league to them already. But they go on to lose to teams that you ordinarily would have expected them to have beaten. So, but then for this season, you look at Arsenal's matches so far, and then you want to believe that with this sort of performance against Aston Villa, it is a plausible one. It is one that is applaudable. And talking about Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang in particular, you know, he put up a very good performance, especially with the free kick. But I think this team has to do more. They have to do more when they come against the teams that can really hedge them, that can really put them on the edge. Because as far as I'm concerned, before the match was played against Aston Villa were sitting rock bottom in about 17th position in the league. And for Aston Villa to have come to Emirates and have tried to take the 3 points away from the team, I think it also shows a bit of inconsistency in the style of play of the team. But going forward, what this team has to do is that, you know, stick to their game plans. That is, if they even have any that is working for them, stick to the game plans and not like a performance we saw against Watford. You lead 2-0 and then first half, you have the first half, second half, you give that to your opponent. And that's the same thing we saw against Aston Villa. And I think Aston Villa losing that match to Arsenal was to their own recklessness, not because Arsenal actually did something that was superior. Yes, I give them the kudos. They were 10 men, you know, they were 10 men. They were 1 man down in the match and then still got their hearts together. But I think this team has a lot to do in staying consistent in performance.
It's been an absolute pleasure reviewing the games over the weekend with you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Always a pleasure, Solomon.
Thank you for watching the Nutmeg on Guardian TV. It has been an absolute pleasure presenting this to you. Kindly subscribe to this YouTube channel to get fresh episodes of the Nutmeg and other interesting content from Guardian Nigeria. My name is Solomon Fo, and thank you for watching. This has been the Nutmeg.